Here are the Rookie of the Year finalists. They will be announced this coming Monday. You can see it live right here on MLB Network. Drake Baldwin, Chad Durbin, and Cade Horton of the Cubs. Pitcher for the Cubs. You see the numbers, 2.67 ERA for Horton was outstanding. Baldwin did a great year behind the plate for the Braves. Roman Anthony, Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, two players from the A's, and the young phenom from the Red Sox who only played 71 games. But tremendous hitting from Nick Kurtz especially, and Wilson, son of Jack Wilson, hitting .311, an outstanding contact rate. Very good rookies so far this year. Jim Callis just did his annual piece ranking the rookies by long-term value. So it's a strong class. Jim Callis, we welcome you in right now. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing good. And I'm glad you explained it the way you did, BK, because so many people read this article and fans get angry and they don't realize it's based on long-term value. It's only based on guys who graduate from rookie status. So, yes, I know Nolan McLean and Trey Savage are good, but they're not in the article because they're still rookies. But, yeah, this is always kind of a fun list and a difficult list to put together.
I tell you what, it's I'm almost saying star-studded. There's very good players here, like established players already. So let's throw up your top 10 first, and people can peruse through it. Roman Anthony, number 1. Nick Kurtz is second. Then Jacob Wilson. You can see Chase Burns, Cade Horton in the top 5. You see The Miz down at number 10. Roki Sasaki at number 8. Drake Baldwin, 10. Let's start at the top. Kurtz is 23, but he just slugged .619. How torn were you between 1 and 2?
Yeah, I mean, it was Roman Anthony and Nick Kurtz clearly above everybody else. I mean, you go back to the draft when Kurtz was drafted just 2 years ago in 24, and there were a lot of scouts who thought he had the best combination of swing decisions, contact, exit velocities in the entire draft. I to separate between those two, and Nick Kurtz had about as good a rookie year as you can have. He had the highest ops plus, Brian, of any rookie ever. He tied Jose Abreu. Roman Anthony's a year younger. He plays a more difficult position. I think they're going to both be very comparable hitters. I gave the side to the, since the bats are the same, I went with the guy who is younger and plays a little bit more challenging position. Nick Kurtz is a really good first baseman. But I think you could argue, you could make an argument for either one of those guys, and I wouldn't fight you. Right. Those two are clearly the top two guys for me. And then the rest of the list, I think you can argue those 3 to 10 guys in almost any order.
Okay, yeah, Kurtz, I want to be clear. Kurtz, age 22 season last year, will be 23 this coming year. Anthony is age 21 last year. The rest of the list, pitchers, again, we mentioned no Nolan McLean, no Trey Savage. They'll be rookies this coming year. You had Chase Burns and you had The Miz, Jacob Mizorowski, two guys with tremendous stuff. How much did you factor that in, or are you looking more at performance and what they look like, actual run prevention?
Yeah, we're looking long term, and I was an early adopter of Miz. I was actually had some scouts who turned me on to Mizorowski in high school, so I've always been as big a Jacob Mizorowski fan as anyone. And it's funny, my gut feel, I almost would take Jacob Mizorowski over Chase Burns because Burns' fastball gets hit a little bit more than I like, considering how hard he throws. I just think when you look at the control and command, I think Mizorowski's got the best stuff in the big leagues. I don't know that he's ever going to have more than fringy command, so I think there's more reliever risk with him than Chase Burns. Burns is a year younger. I don't think the age matters quite as much for pitchers. That one was tough. I've been a big Cade Horton fan forever, and you could argue that Cade Horton might have the better combination of either of those guys of stuff plus command plus dominance. And he was really the best pitcher in baseball in the second half. He had an ERA barely over 1. So the pitchers were extremely difficult. I sound like I'm very wishy-washy, Brian, and I'm usually not. It's just, it was tough to separate these guys.
Yeah, you have real talent on here. One guy that stands out to me is Drake Baldwin. I know it's age 24 season this past year already, so that's not the youngest rookie out there, but he had a .341 on base, slug .469. That's a 126 OPS plus. As a catcher, 10 seems low. Where were you on Baldwin?
Yeah, again, like I said, that 3 to 10 group, I think you can argue guys in just about every order. I mean, the positional value is very good. The performance this year was very good. He had a 126 ops plus. Only 9 catchers have ever done that as a rookie, counting him. The other 8 counted, I think, total 51 All-Star game appearances. You got Carlton Fisk on there in the Hall of Fame. Mike Piazza in the Hall of Fame. Buster Posey and Thurman Munson might get in the Hall of Fame one day. So it's a pretty good list. His age worked against him a little bit. And I'm not trying to make that sound like a cop-out, but the age at which you establish yourself in the big leagues does have a strong correlation to your future big league success or the longevity of your career. Catcher also, it's hard to have a long career. He was 24. He's the only 24-year-old who ranked in the first 27 spots on my list. So Roman Anthony's 21 this year. Nick Kurtz is 22. Most of these guys were 22, a couple 23-year-olds. So it was the age. But again, and I'm not usually this wishy-washy, I promise, Brian. If you want to argue positional value, what he did historically, even though he's older and catchers do get beat up more, you could definitely make a case for him being higher on the list. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I would. Here's another guy that is somewhat hidden. You give him respect, though. Colson Montgomery. For those not watching the White Sox down the stretch, there weren't many. Tell us about his upside.
Yeah, it's crazy. Here's a guy who was compared to Corey Seager going back to high school. His first-round pick, came into pro ball, got off to a great start. And then for a year and a half, he was pretty much terrible in AAA Charlotte, which is a bandbox. He did very rough 2024 season, very rough start to 2025. He got going a little bit, and I almost feel like the White Sox said, okay, he's playing well. Let's see what he can do in the big leagues. He wound up, hitting, I think it was 21 homers in 70 games. That's the 9th best homer per game rate in rookie history and the best ever among shortstops. That's a 49 homer pace. So I don't know that he's going to hit for average like Corey Seager has, but the power's definitely there. And he's one of many bright spots. The White Sox established a lot of young players in the big leagues this year, and they got more coming. I think it's going to be a year or two away, but the White Sox actually have a bright future.
All right, yeah, I know. You can see that, too, emerging, and that's a star shortstop on the way. Jim Callis with his wishy-washy top 10. Right, you're balanced. That's all. You're reflective. Use that word instead. Thank you, Jim.